Home is more than just a place to live in. It has now become the place where we work, exercise, relax, and even attend school. Due to travel bans and other restrictions brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic, all aspects of life have been moved indoors at home. The well-defined line that used to exist between work and rest has come to a blur, and so the four corners of our room have become our entire little world. A spacious luxury home in an exclusive community, after all, seems like the safest option during these interesting times. However, not everyone has the luxury of having enough physical space for everything that we were used to experiencing outside the house. This is where the power of interior design comes in. Thus, we have invited an esteemed resource speaker to talk about this crucial aspect of living in the new normal. Living luxuriously safe, interior design in the new normal is Brittany Corporation's newest learning webinar that places interior design at the center of safety and luxury living. Introducing our lifestyle webinar speaker, she is the general manager and principal designer of her own company, JJE Design and Construct, or JEDC in short. She earned her Bachelor of Interior Design and Master of Interior Design from UP Diliman. Being a licensed interior designer, she passed her licensure exam in 1994. Currently, she holds other positions aside from the being National Corporate Secretary of the Board of Philippine Institute of Interior Designers. She is also the Regional Director and the Community Alliance Director of the Business Network International, the Corporate Secretary of the Society for Cultural Enrichment, Inc., and the Admin Chair of the Rotary Club of Makati Premier District, as well as a member of the Best Dressed Women of the Philippines since 2018 and Century Tuna Try Hard Triathlon team since 2009. In the whole of BNI Philippines, she has earned to be the fourth top green member for the month of February 2021, as well as being a 6-star gold badge awardee, having inducted 37 members of her 180-plus visitors. This shows that she is passionate about helping other business owners to grow their business, which will eventually help their families and their staff that will lead to helping boost the local economy, especially during these trying times. During the lockdown last year, she became a vlogger. Today, she is also a co-anchor in the online show Two for the Road for its third season and a columnist in the interior designer section in the Profiles magazine. To top it all, she is a mom to 4 kids and a wife to a surgeon. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome interior designer Joy Jabile-Ejercito.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the introduction, Mariah. I'm happy to be here to share my knowledge about home interior trends in this new normal. Now, let me give you a situationer. This pandemic has not completely impeded the interior design as well as the general construction of homes. If you will notice, people are more into redecorating their interior spaces now that more time is being spent at home. According to Casey Gillespie, this quarantine has inspired people to nest and redecorate. In the age of pandemic, the home has become our world. Everyone wants to take care of the wellness and well-being at home to support the body, mind, and spirit throughout these difficult and challenging times. So here are the topics that I will be presenting. First will be about what has become of our home in this new normal. Second will be the current interior design practice to adapt to the changes. And third, I will be giving you tips on how to achieve a European-inspired interiors. First, what has become of our home in this new normal? So that's the question. And our home has become into 3 things. 1, our home now has become our safety zone, where the interiors are always kept clean. For Remember when it was said that the coronavirus is a fomite that lives on surfaces for hours and days on aluminum, surgical gloves, steel, glass, wood, paper, plastic? Because of this, we have to convert our home's entrance into a transition zone with a sanitizing area where there's the alcohol dispenser and foot bath. Until now, this is still being practiced. Two, we provided a separate delivery area where your deliveries are brought, disinfected, and opened just because of the study that coronavirus is a fomite. Some put a table under the sun so that before the packages are open, they are exposed to sunlight as it is believed to kill the virus. Three, we frequently disinfect the interiors of the house and vehicles by using disinfection spray or ultraviolet light or disinfection machine using chlorine solution, which is 1/3 cup of Clorox mixed with 1 gallon of water. Our home now has become our haven or sanctuary away from the virus and infections. According to Nikki Ann Pascual, a fellow UP interior design alumna who wrote an article last month in the Philippine Star entitled Healthy Space Hacks to Cure Pandemic Blues, that during this pandemic, many of us realized how much more our homes can be improved. When we say improving, we understand it to be having a repair or renovation. But another way of improving is fluffing. People have been fluffing, which means improving a space by rearranging pieces of furniture, decluttering, or adding elements without construction, which is what I have been doing since the first lockdown. Another buzzword that she mentioned in her article was languishing, which was defined on a New York Times article by Adam Grant as the absence of well-being. So to avoid languishing in the homes during these trying times, people have been fluffing and improving the interiors to adapt to this pandemic and achieve healthier spaces that contribute to the wellness and well-being. So how do we keep our home cozy and comfortable to lift our spirits and bring happiness? One way of fluffing is through biophilic design. Biophilic design is connecting the occupants of the house to nature for a more productive and healthy environment. Thus, we add plants into the house. This is also to bring feelings of vitality and improve the state of mind. According to a study, the subliminal effect of plants has an effect that gives a positive outlook on life and boosts people into feeling more alive and active. There are many ways on how to bring in plants into the interiors. It can be by one, putting them in attractive pots with soil. And these plants need to be watered daily, but indoor plants do not need too much sunlight. Two, using the hydroponic system. This is where growing plants and vegetables in the house do not need to use soil, but just water and a fertilizer solution, and of course, sunlight. According to the study, plants such as lettuce, spinach, basil, parsley, oregano, cilantro, mint, tomatoes, strawberries, and hot peppers that are grown hydroponically often yield more, require less space, use less water. Three, another way of bringing plants into the interiors is to having a set of terrarium on display. There are two ways to have a terrarium. One can be a water terrarium of plants and water in glass containers. And the other is the succulent terrariums, like the one in this photo, that contain an environment of cacti, pebbles, stones, moss. And to make it attractive at night, add fairy lights. And fourth, lastly, try to grow plants through aeroponics. In the aeroponics, the roots are exposed and dangled. The roots are then sprayed with a solution. Best plants for aeroponics for the edible garden are lettuce, strawberries, tomatoes, mint, basil, and for the attractive display, the air plant or tillandsia, which is the one in the photo. Another way of fluffing is putting artworks. Therefore, hanging paintings on walls and placing sculptures in strategic places. Seeing things that are beautiful makes us feel good, right? One is not fluffing, but something that we really need to improve our haven or sanctuary. It is having repairs. We need to have our interiors last long because we do not know when this pandemic will end, which is what we have been doing during this lockdown and quarantine. Lastly, another way of improving our home or sanctuary is undergoing renovations. We want to accommodate more spaces because everyone now is staying home to work from home and for the distance remote learning. Three, our home now has become our retreat that provides us physical distancing but not social isolation. Due to this pandemic, work from office and learning at school were at a decline. Most now have been working from home, and all students are now having their distance or remote learning, like my kids. This social isolation is making people rethink the functionality and importance of the spaces at home. Due to this lockdown and quarantine, there's now a new definition of spaces at home so we can still continue to live our lives. Therefore, there have been a new definition of spaces to accommodate the work and learning spaces. Workspace statistics in 2020 and 2021. In 2020, 72% of businesses had the work from home arrangement, especially when the Department of Tourism and Industry and the Interagency Task Force mandated employers to implement the system. On the other hand, some workers opted for a skeletal force to still continue with the projects. This year, 95% of the businesses have shifted to work from home, especially when the International Labor Organization did a study that well-managed remote employees and workers can be more productive than the physically managed ones. Now, what is the learning space statistics in 2020 and 2021? Last year, 50,000 schools and universities in the Philippines have ventured into the new mode of learning. The Department of Education and Commission on Higher Education have implemented proactive policies for the education to continue despite the closure of the schools and universities. By October 2020, over 24 million Filipino students, which is 3 million lower than 2019's 27.7 million enrolled students, started their distance or remote learning. Remember when President Duterte recalled his approval for the limited face-to-face classes in December 26 last year due to the threat of the new variant coronavirus. DepEd said it would follow the president's order and then suspended its plan of having face-to-face classes until further notice. Then Education Undersecretary Diosdado San Antonio said, now that the school year ended and DepEd is now preparing for all the possibilities and learning modalities next school year, whether through limited in-person classes or distance learning, the learning modalities will greatly depend on the advice of the IATF in consideration of the national local health situation. He further said that the health, safety, and well-being of our learners and teachers will remain to be on top of our priorities. So there is a possibility of another year of remote or distance learning. Now that most are working from home and all of the kids are having their distance learning, how do we establish the work and learning spaces? Here are the ways. First, select your spaces based on your needs. This is through one, zoning by noise level. According to architect Joanna Dumka, my fellow BNI member, you can zone the spaces according to the noise level. There is the minimal noise level. This space needs to be quiet because of the frequent online virtual meetings that happen during the day. Then the minimal moderate noise level. This space needs to be moderately quiet and can tolerate moderate noise from the kids when they are having their school and play activities, especially when someone is in the room for the online virtual meetings. There is also the moderate noise level. This space can tolerate noise and talking level, but may need to have a little quiet time when someone is speaking to a client or supplier online. And the high intensity noise level, this space may entertain loud voice conversations and laughter. So you are welcome to take a screenshot of this slide to help you select your work and learning spaces through zoning by noise level. Okay, for this next slide, to create your spaces through threshold by visual security and privacy of spaces. Thresholds help designate where work physically starts and stops. There are a visual cue that says, step into my space. It can be as simple as placing a set of furniture and furnishings to signal a different space identity to the home's other occupants. So let me show you these visuals about thresholds so you will better understand. This is a case study by architect Joanna Dunca. So in this open space plan, it is being shared by the mom and the toddler, where the noise intensity level is from moderate high to high. The common noise intensity level has put them together in this space, but their spaces are separated according to their threshold. For the mom's view, while the mom is tending to her business in the kitchen, she can still supervise her youngest child who is in the living area, come play area. If you will see, the dining area is in the middle of these two spaces, which does not obstruct the view of the mom or the child. They can still see each other. For the toddler or daughter's view, she will still feel secure and safe whenever she sees the mom. In her play area at the living area, the ottoman is not only for sitting, but to store the toys, and the TV cabinet is also being used to store the daughter's books and artworks, coloring and writing materials. So it is multifunctional. The dining area is where the family have their meals, but it is also where the mom can do her work, or the daughter can also sit to write or color for the development of her skills. If the mom needs to have a virtual meeting with someone, she needs to wear a headphone or earphones. Look at the visuals. The threshold of the living area, come play area, dining area, come work area, and the kitchen are being defined according to the set of furniture and furnishings. Please note that people can be put together in one room, but do so accordingly to zoning by noise level and separated by their threshold. You're also welcome to take a screenshot of this slide to help you select your work and the learning spaces through threshold for the moderate, high, and high intensity noise level. Okay, for this next slide, at the same time, the eldest child or the son who is having his distance learning also needs a quiet space. So he is seated at a desk in front. This slide is another example of the room that is being shared by the dad and the eldest child. So let's look at the visual. No? Again, the common noise intensity level of minimal to minimal moderate has zoned them together in this space, but their spaces are separated according to their threshold. Now, the dad has his own desk for his work that includes virtual meetings from time to time. Therefore, he needs to comfortably work in a quiet space. At the same time, the eldest child or the son who is having his distance learning also needs a quiet space. So he's seated at a desk in front of the dad. You can still assist him from time to time. If both dad and son are having their virtual meeting and class at the same time, both should use their own headphone or earphones. Notice that they have their backs facing a wall. This is important so as not to distract the people you are talking to. You may also opt to use attractive virtual backgrounds to cover the clutter behind you or the people who are passing behind you. Please note once again that people can be put together in one room, but do so according to zoning by noise level and separated by their threshold. You're also welcome to take a screenshot of this slide to help you select your work and learning spaces through threshold for the minimal and moderate minimal noise level. For this next slide, second, another way of establishing the work and learning spaces is through scheduling. How do we arrange the family schedule in each of the spaces? Scheduling is now easy when one applies the zoning and the threshold system. You can put together in one space the one with the same noise level and separate the ones that have different noise level intensity. If they are sharing one room, just divide the spaces according to the threshold by separating them with the use of the chairs and their stuff for work or learning, thereby adding their personality into the space. Lastly, establish the work and learning spaces by equipping your spaces. Here are the following that you need to have in your space. 1, use a set of basic furniture such as a good table, comfortable chair, and using shelves and cabinets to make the spaces secure and safe. Having the right table for you and chair corrects bad posture, which can help in being more productive and boosts a higher level of confidence. Putting in enough storages reduces clutter, which helps you think clearly and straight. It is also important to have enough cabinets and shelves near you to store your files and work needs so that you don't need to stand to get your stuff while you are having your virtual meetings. Two, for the proper lighting, use natural lighting during the day and ring light at night to illuminate your face. You may use both during the day to avoid the shadows on your face. So use proper lighting because you will look sketchy if you're talking in the dark. Three, a suitable ventilation is having a natural ventilation through the windows in your room, which is good for your room's aeration. A spot ventilation, which is the use of the electric fan, or a mechanical ventilation, which is the use of the air conditioning unit. All these are used to make your stay in your room comfortable. Four, having a strong Wi-Fi connection is important. Most urban and suburban areas have at least one high-speed provider for internet service. And just to say this, Wi-Fi now is actually one of the basic needs, aside from the food, water, shelter, and clothing, right? We lose Wi-Fi, then we lose our social connection. These work and learning spaces need to have a strong Wi-Fi connection. It is really frustrating if you keep getting a weak signal and you can't continue with a meeting, nor you can't get your work done. Most especially if this happens to the kids in their distance learning. Their grades will surely be affected. Who would have thought that the Wi-Fi connection is now considered one of the basic needs? In this new world, one realizes that people now appreciate more the things that matter and the material things will have lesser relevance. Am I correct? Being cut due to low Wi-Fi connection is like being cut from the outside world. Now more than ever, we should not have social distancing, but just physical distancing. So we still need to take care of ourselves. So now to fix your Wi-Fi problems, have a 50 Mbps as a minimum speed to shoot for. The more people using the internet at the same time, the more you want to get a higher speed service. And five, have a good set of equipment in your work and learning spaces. So here is my workspace, okay, as an example of the set of equipment that will also help with an effective and efficient work and learning space. I have identified my set of equipment, which helps me have an organized and smooth flow of online virtual meetings. My table holds my following set of equipment. One, I have my laptop in a dock station so that the camera will be at my eye level like this. Beside it is my external drive to store all my files. I avoid storing my files in the computer just in case it needs to be sent to a computer store for repair. With my files in my external drive, I can borrow another computer. Three, my cell phone is on a stand on my right. I use it during meetings or webinars or presentations for my Viber communication. Four, I have another cell phone stand on my left because if someone calls me, I have a better signal on that side. The signal on my left is stronger, diba? But it is easier for me to glance at my cell phone on my right. Thus, I have two cell phone stands. Five, also on my left is the microphone. It is easier for me to use a microphone than a set of earphones. Sometimes when I stand to get something, I forget that I'm still hooked to my earphones. Six, I use a keyboard when I type my message on the phone. It is easy for me to message using the keyboard while still looking at the camera. Promise, you won't easily notice that I am typing while we're having an online meeting. Seven, I use a mouse and a mouse pad to make it easy for me to control the pages in my screen. It is easier for me to scroll up and down the pages using the mouse. Eight, I also use stylus for ease of swiping the cell phone and tablet while still sitting upright. The stylus add an extra length to my arm to reach the screen of my cell phone and tablet. 9, my tablet is used for messenger communication. And 10, I also have my printer nearby. 11, notice that I have 3 ring lights at different locations. It is for better lighting that removes shadows on my face because the natural lighting and the down lights are not enough to illuminate my face. And then lastly, there is a side table on the right that holds my personal stuff, such as my eyeglasses, alcohol spray, wipes, hairbrush, makeup. Of course, we still need to be presentable online, even if we're one-third dressed in business attire. But you know what? You can adjust the settings in your Zoom to the virtual filters to make it look like you have a lipstick and a nice set of eyebrows. Galing, di ba? I also have my office supplies in my drawer, such as bond papers, etc. All within reach, so I do not need to stand anymore while having an online virtual meeting. And lastly, since I spend most of my time on screen, I invested on an ortho chair leg raise for comfortability and added seat cushion and back seat cushions. Note that I do not need any more a green screen, as the Zoom has now updated its settings that a green screen can no longer be needed for the virtual background. So what do you think of my workspace? Now you can already imagine what my workspace looks like while I'm giving this talk. Second topic, do you ever wonder what the current interior design practice is now to adapt to the current situation? Since the current crisis will limit the movements of the interior design and even the construction business, these companies will focus more on the following. First, the use of the online virtual meetings and electronic technology. To meet these challenges, interior designers here and abroad are now rising up by offering services virtually using technology like FaceTime, Google or Microsoft, and Zoom. Some are even brainstorming new packages to meet clients' changing needs. Most do virtual meetings and consultations with the clients, architects, and the rest of the project team for the design process. What about the floor plans and the fabrics and finishes? Their images are sent electronically to give the team the direction, and then later on, the design decisions can be made virtually to keep the design process moving forward. Second, the use of the courier and delivery service. Now, part of the adjustment to this crisis is to send through delivery the hard copy of floor plans and the physical samples of the materials or the swatches to the design team and clients for decision making. So this should not slow down the decision making in the design process. Third, there will now be scheduled site visits. In my office, our arrangement is to fully work from home. The coordination and collaborations of design and construct can still be done electronically and through online virtual forms. But site visits are still done as needed and scheduled, being conscious of the safety protocols and measures. It's not like before we can go anytime we want. Basically, design professionals are also frontliners in these challenging times. Fourth, the use of the walkthrough. Bettina Stewie, founder of Upstart Modern, expressed that it is also helpful to be in the space and get a sense of scale because there's a lot that we can still do with video tours and virtual meetings in exchange of the face-to-face meetings. If you would like to visualize what your interiors will look like, interior designers can have a walkthrough created and then present to the clients via Zoom, such as this walkthrough that I presented to a client in Subic. Fifth, for this next slide, there are now virtual tours. Even for showrooms, some suppliers offer virtual tours for anyone ready to specify materials or place orders like this supplier I know how of Nero. His company has created a virtual tour of their tiles showroom to the convenience of his clients. I commend the contractors, suppliers, home furnishings shops who pivoted and adjusted quickly to the current situation so that life still goes on for them and their clients. Sixth, antibacterial materials are now being developed. In specifying materials, interior designers will also be specifying antibacterial fabrics and finishes, including those that already exist, like copper. Seventh, interior designers are now educating their clients to use home automation, which will make it more convenient in the homes of the clients. This will also minimize people from touching a lot of surfaces. So for this new world, the design industry is now researching for modern technologies to specify to their clients. According to Aisha Jacob, more will now more move toward more automation to mitigate contagion. There will be speeding up of the development of the touchless technology, such as the home automation of the gate, doors, and windows, and turning on and off of the lights in the house and at the garden, which can be cell phone controlled. 8. Clients are also taught to rely on the voice-activated gadgets, which will also provide convenience and touchless system in the homes. For the voice-activated gadgets, if Siri is for the iPhone and Bixby is for the Android, Alexa and Google are for the home. All of them can be used to call up the person you want to talk to, queue up the next movie that you want to watch in Netflix, prepare the recipe for the meal that you want to cook, look through the ref for your ingredients, open the garage door, turn on the lights and the air condition, and start brewing your favorite coffee. It's all very convenient, right? In this world, people learn to be more careful to protect their own health, wellness, and well-being. Let's use this challenge to turn a bad situation into a learning point and make things even better, even if it means doing things differently. If we work together, we'll be able to move forward and upward towards a new beginning. And in these challenging times, the design practitioners are now working collaboratively together to be able to help solve professionally their clients' problems, to make their lives easier and their home and workplaces into more beautiful, functional, comfortable, and safe spaces. Now, for the last topic, I will be giving you tips on how to achieve a European-inspired interiors. This will go well with any exterior design that you have of your home, but better if it's also a European-inspired exterior. Remember that a European style is a very broad term encompassing many strong style influences and overlapping design styles such as Scandinavian, French provincial, Tuscan, English and French country, and Spanish or Mediterranean. So how do you achieve a European-inspired interiors? First, through the color scheme. To exude that old world charm, use a Scandinavian or Nordic palette. To create a French provincial look, the walls are either in white or powder gray to match with the pale woods and darker gray furniture. There should also be an occasional inflection of icy cool blues. For the Tuscan look, you may go with the rich and beautiful colors paired with white or sandstone that can give a modern twist on a classical. If you opt for a brighter look, use olive green, dark brown, deep red, blue, or orange. Next, use handcrafted light fixtures that have been designed and shaped by an artist, such as Murano glass fixture, if you have the budget or something that is Murano inspired. Having these decorative items at home reminds us of the time in Europe when craftsmen or artisans who were experts in their fields were an essential part of the community. These kinds of details give character and life to the home. Create a Spanish or Mediterranean feel of the house, warm tones of taupe, burnt orange, brown, deep peach, yellow, green, blue, and red must be used. So, which look do you prefer? Generally, use neutral colors that exude elegance, calmness, interest, and to go with the colors and textures used in the home furnishing. Next, use handcrafted the light fixtures. This was what I have mentioned earlier. And for the third, for this next slide, for your window treatments, use fabric blinds or roller shades to highlight the window. Focus on the details, functionality, and design when choosing your window treatment. Roman shades, which originated thousands of years ago, are a popular way to give our homes a Mediterranean flair. Fourth, invest on artworks. Get colors and inspiration from the paintings. Look for paintings by contemporary artists, but are European inspired, such as architecture, landscape, sceneries, floral arrangements, portraits, nudes, sketches. Fifth, use of textiles also play a part in achieving a European-inspired interiors. Layered textiles add a decadent feel. In the bedroom, use a sheepskin rug that adds luxury, warmth, and comfort. In the living room, sprawl a higher-end fabric on the floor, such as felted wool rug, as a contrast. In the dining room, bring texture to the room's slick geometry by using a Turkish wool flat weave rug. 8, personalize your space with your family photos. So these family portraits can be mounted in a classic European style frames, then arrange them in a wall, like the one in this slide. So there you go. Hope I have given you enough tips about home interior trends during this new normal. Have fun furnishing and accessorizing your interiors. If you need my help with regards to interior design or general construction, no matter how small or big it is, you may give me a call. You may take a screenshot of my contact details. So do you have any questions now? I will do my best to answer them.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Joy, for the very insightful and eye-opening discussion on interior design in the midst of the new normal. We love the tips on how we can achieve European-inspired home interiors because it really makes one's home stand out from the rest. At this point, we would like to open the floor for Q&A. Participants, you can send us a direct message for your questions. All right. So we already received here a few questions from our audience. So the first question is, Ms. Joy, how do you balance work and life with all of these schedules?
Thank you for that question, Mariah. Ideally, work-life balance seeks to have the work and life to coexist and to thrive separately, while the work-life integration is about bringing work and life closer together. So during this pandemic, we do not seek the work-life balance anymore, but have established the work-life integration, where we care less about what's work time and what's personal time, and instead focus on what's the best time to do these things. This would mean working later in the day to focus on home and family in the morning, checking on work email after hours, but also checking and responding to personal email during the workday. So in other words, a work-life integration sees every activity in your day as a part of a whole and is less focused on compartmentalizing. So we are not into the work-life balance anymore, but into work-life integration. So that's what I've been doing. I have been using work-life integration with all these schedules that I have. So thank you for that question. Hope I have answered it.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Joy. We also have here our second question, which is, what is a good table and comfortable chair for the work and learning spaces?
That's a good question. So here are tips to be comfortable at your table. First, your table should be lowered according to your height, and your arms should be at a 90-degree angle, and the monitor should be at an eye level like this. This is why I had to put my laptop on a docking station. Second, you should be at an 8 inches to 24 inches away from your monitor. So this is to avoid actually digital eye strain. Third, there should be enough space to stretch your body or walk around to prevent musculoskeletal issues. Regarding a comfortable chair, remember that having a bad body posture can reduce productivity. A good body posture contributes to productivity because you'd be spending a lot of time sitting down. It is wise to first invest on a comfortable chair. In this case, the best decision is to buy an ergonomic chair. These chairs are actually an excellent solution to your backache problems because of their great lumbar support. So here are more tips to be comfortable in your ergo chair. First, use a medical back stretcher if you can, which will force you to sit upright. In my case, I use the cushions, the seat cushion and the back seat cushion. Second, your feet should be flat on the floor while working, or it should have a resting place underneath the table. Put something where you can put your feet on, such as a stool or an ottoman. So hope I have answered your question.
Thank you so much for those tips, Ms. Joy. Now, our third question is, how do you take care of yourself with all these online virtual meetings here?
Okay, that's a very, very good question, Mariah. Yes, of course, we still have to take care of our wellness and well-being. I have mentioned the work-life integration a while ago. So try to be creative and to identify new possibilities to make things better across all areas of your life. You identify your work time and personal time and focus on what's the best time to do these things. Say you take care of the house and the family in the morning and have all your online virtual meetings in the afternoon. Also, yes, spending too much time with your gadget, laptop, or desktop can also lead to digital eye strain, such as blurred vision and headaches. So, to avoid eye strain, is first lessen the screen time and practice the 2020 rule. So one of the biggest challenge of remote working is to really get lost of the computer time. Sometimes there is no more sense of time that online virtual meetings come one after the other, or they sometimes overlap. So this can lead to a loss in productivity along with increased tiredness and headaches. So to help you keep motivated and to avoid spending too much time with your eyes on screen or document, try to make use of the 2020 rule. After every 20 minutes, spend staring at a screen or a single document. Shift your eyes to something different that is roughly 20 feet away from you and look at it for at least 20 seconds. Not only will this boost your mental productivity by giving your brain a chance to recharge, it will also support your physical health by encouraging you to change your posture and make use of different muscles in your eyes. For a very simple action, you could be looking at enormously positive results. So make sure to try it out for yourself. Second, try wearing the blue light filter glass. Although there's a lack of conclusive evidence about the glass that actually reduces eye strain or protect from the effects of the blue light. But it is also best to lessen your screen time and practice the 2020 rule. Then, of course, avoid dry eyes by first blink your eyes. This is important because it helps spread hydrating substances like tears and mucus across your eyes. So if you're blinking less, the tears on your eyes have more time to evaporate, resulting in red and dry eyes. That's from too much screen time. Second, use eye drops to relieve the dry eye symptoms. And then third, don't let the fan focus on the eye so that the eyes will not be dry. And there's also try to adjust also the brightness of your gadgets or computer to a comfortable level so that the brightness of the monitor reflecting on your eyes can also contribute to dry and tired eyes. And lastly, take a break. Practice the 2020 rule. Again, we go back to the 2020 rule. So I hope I answered the question.
Okay, those are very timely and insightful tips, Ms. Joy. So the fourth question we have here is, Ms. Joy, we can't help but have online virtual meetings one after the other. Although there is no more boundary that you can meet with anyone in any part of the world, but sometimes there is no more sense of time. What are the effects of the use of the online virtual platforms?
Okay, I agree that actually sometimes there's no more boundary and sometimes there's no more sense of time. So I'm sure it happens to most of us. So yes, there are 5 advantages and disadvantages of the online virtual platforms. For the advantages of the online virtual platform, they are the gift of time. There's more time. There's no more traffic to go through, which means we are now more flexible with our time. Second, there's more learner engagement, meaning the shy ones get to engage more. Third, there's more accessibility. This is to anyone who has a gadget and Wi-Fi. Fourth, ease in tracking and measuring of valuable data points. There are a lot of software that can track and measure data that we can use as a reference and guide. And then fifth, more productive. So imagine doing more work done at the comfort of your home and your own convenience. Now, on the other hand, there are the advantages. So first, there's a low Wi-Fi connectivity. So it is disruptive. It's frustrating. We miss a lot of work and engagements because of this. It's also where we also get overwhelmed in navigating too many platforms. This is challenging, especially to the ones that are not techy. Third, there's not enough feedback or support, which depends on the availability of the support you are asking help from. And then there's also the burnout in virtual meetings and activities. So since there's no sense of time, right? Meetings tend to overlap and to happen one after the next. And of course, we are all experiencing this, the rotational brownout. So this is one that we are experiencing now, which is also disruptive, frustrating, makes us miss a lot of work and engagement. So I hope I was able to enlighten you on the advantages and disadvantages of the virtual platforms.
Thank you, Ms. Joy. So on to our last question, which is, where do you suggest we buy our set of equipment to also have smooth and organized online virtual meetings and learning?
Okay, before I answer that question, let me tell you that I'm not an ambassador of these online shops, okay? But you can easily get good set of equipment from Lazada and Shopee. That's within your budget. You just have to read the reviews before ordering and allow for 1 week of delivery. So order them around 1 to 2 weeks before you will be needing them to also give time to set them up and get used to them. And then for a good work or study table and or go chair, you may try a contract design through April Manuod. They have good ones. And I got my Ergo chairs from them. So hope I answered your question.
Okay, so Ms. Joy, do you have any words of wisdom that you would like to share with our audience today?
Yes, Mariah. So before we end the talk, my words of wisdom to everyone is, in this crisis, establish a work-life integration. You do not only take care of your own wellness and well-being, but of your family's wellness and well-being. Do your best to have that feeling of harmony in your home and in your lives, because you want to have a life that has time for work, time for family, care, life, joy, play, and all of the things that make life worth living outside of work. So take this opportunity to get creative and identify new possibilities to make things better across all areas of your lives. So with that, wishing you all to keep safe, and thank you.
Thank you so much for that heartwarming message, Ms. Joy. At this point, we would like to call on our lifestyle webinar speaker, licensed interior designer, Ms. Joy Jabile-Ejercito, to receive this certificate of recognition from Brittany Corporation. All right, so Brittany Corporation presents this certificate of recognition, proudly presented to interior designer Joy Jabile-Ejercito for her exemplary speech to Brittany Corporation and all its stakeholders as an industry leader and expert resource person in her field. Given this date on June 26, 2021, by Mr. John Christopher Gonzalez, Corporate Communications Head of Brittany Corporation, and Mr. Joshua Ray Kabungan, Brittany Sales Head. All right, Ms. Joy, can we take a photo op?
Thank you. Yes, of course.
Okay.
Thank you so much for the certificate.
Okay. The count of 3. 1, 2, 3, smile. One more time, Miss Joy. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay.
So thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Joy.
Thank you so much also.
So with all these beautiful inspirations from world-class destinations, check out Brittany Corporation Vista Land's luxury residential arm and the country's pioneer in luxurious themed residential developments, and its newest development in Crosswinds, the premier destination for leisure and luxury living in the city of Tagaytay.